it is live. It should be live.
I'll give it a
Okay, yep,
refresh.
it should be live. All right, let me go on to regular page. Give me 1 second, guys.
It's happening.
I should just have everything prepared before I go on. This would be the smart thing to do. But I'm not smart. All right, and we got ads on here.
I've
Oh
just
God,
been
that's loud. Okay, there we go.
I've just been melting today in the UK weather, so I'm a bit brain dead.
What's the temperature out there?
I mean, in my room it's like 28 degrees Celsius. It's obviously not that outside anymore, but it's just a heat trap in these houses. We're just not built for the sun over here.
No, you're not, because
fragile
we just
people.
had well, I don't know, on the top of my head, Celsius to Fahrenheit, which is America has to make everything by themselves for some reason. Let's see, it was like 90.
Yeah,
90
gotta be different.
let's see here, 90. Okay, yeah, it's 90. So you said how many degrees Celsius? 27.
So in my room it's 20. It's like 28 degrees Celsius in my room. But obviously
your
today it's
room?
not actually been
my
that.
God.
But yeah, in my room.
Well, that's a little too hot.
I know, and it's just come out of nowhere because we've had like a really cold summer, and then just today, where I am, it just feels like I'm in a nuclear holocaust.
All right, your Mike, I'm gonna turn you down a little bit. They said you're a little too loud compared to me. All right, see if that. All right, okay. We are back with the Trip Sitters podcast after a little hiatus there. Not, I was on it last time, but we got Vivek back here. We're doing this on a Tuesday, first ever Tuesday edition. I think it's Tuesday, right? Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I don't remember my days usually, but yeah. So it's been when was last time? Was that the Trip Whip episode you were on?
Yeah, was that like 3 weeks ago?
Oh my God, that was a long time ago already.
Or was it more? I think it was before I went to Rosa Festival,
Yeah.
which was 3. So it might have been a month ago.
That's crazy.
Life is just flying by.
So how was that Rosa Festival? You could talk about it a little bit.
Oh, it was unbelievable. Obviously, I'm very affiliated with it. My best mate, he's one of the spearheads of the event. We've been since 2020. It came about in lockdown. It was just like a response to COVID, where it was like a loophole they managed to get around, where they said, I think the UK government, thinking like August 2020, was like, oh yes, you can have a camp out, but don't be coming near each other or anything, and you can stay in your tents and whatever. So they managed to get a farmer's field and get a big tent and a big rig and get everyone camping, and somehow managed to avoid the authorities. And then ever since then, it's just sort of blossomed, which is really cool. And then this will be the 5th edition. It's really just coming into its own now. It's like I say on my channel, it's like a marriage between raving and spirituality. So you've got all the crazy electronic music and all the psychedelic infusion culture, but then you've got also like the spiritual sort of calming meditation retreats in the actual festival. So it's a really great mashup of both of those things. Had a great time, and met a lot of Vivek people as well, and people who listen to you.
I saw
as
that.
well. They were like,
oh, they were saying something.
So you actually know Tales from the Trip? And I was like, yeah. I was like, he's my boy.
These people have never seen the podcast or heard it. Like it's funny. Like it's funny how they're like, you guys should collab one time.
Oh yeah, I know.
How many times have we done that already? It's been so many times. This is like it's crazy how many people don't know.
Yeah. Obviously, I get it that I'm not up to date with all of my favorite YouTubers or whatever, and but it just takes me aback sometimes when like I'll do a video, because obviously I've been appearing on camera more, and even every single time I release an on-camera episode, they're like, "Oh my God, this is the official face reveal," and I was like, "This it's like 2 years on from the fact now." Yeah, it's been interesting some of the responses I've had from appearing on camera more. I've just been posting on my Instagram. Out of all the things that I've said on the internet since 2009, all the controversial things I've ever done, people seem to really dislike my hair for some reason. They were like, "Yeah, great video, but the hair really pisses me off." And I was like, "Okay, I'll go bald next time."
Yeah, you've been posting those comments. They're funny to see because it's funny that you're posting them. Like, look how many people are fucking commenting this shit.
Yeah, I know. I thought it was quite amusing. Like I say, with all these, it's not even hate. It's just strange comments. You've just got to laugh at them, haven't you? You can't get sucked into them, or else you'll quickly get very frustrated and get the classic YouTube burnout.
Right. At least they're commenting, and I mean, they're not. They could be a lot more rude. You know, there could be something like they could just have a deep vitriol for you for some other reason than your hair. You know,
Yeah.
I don't know why they chose that, but yeah. Could you before we go on? Is there a way you could turn down
That's really
your volume a little bit, because mine is like
yes.
quiet for some reason, but yours is like a little bit
How,
louder.
how about that? Is that all right?
That's maybe just a little bit louder.
Yeah, yeah. What about that? Is that okay?
A little bit more down.
A little bit more down. How about that? Is that okay?
A little bit too quiet. It's just the. Can you move it up like
Yeah.
one or two
I'm
more?
twiddling that dial.
Oh, that might be a good one.
One more.
Ooh, that.
Is that a sweet spot?
All right, let's see how that sounds for people. Because people are saying that, and we got 32 people in here.
It's not.
It's going good. What'd you say?
It's not a Trip Sitters podcast without some technical shenanigans.
Every time, it's become part of the game. This is tradition. It's like take a shot every time something goes wrong, and that's why I got my Miller High Life here. But before, this has been fresh in my mind ever since I watched it last night. But we gotta take some time to talk about Troll Hunter. I wanna talk about that movie. That movie was something else, man. I've always wanted to see
let's
it.
talk about some movies.
Yeah, when Watch Mojo was like first coming around, one of their first videos, top 10 found footage movies, they put Troll Hunter in there. That's the first time I ever heard about it, and I was interested at that time, but I just totally forgot about it until the other day. Some person posted, who I follow on Instagram, clips of it. And I'm like, you know what, I gotta watch this, and I took 0.5 of the penis envy shrooms last night, and I started watching. And it was funny because every time I don't like watching the English dub versions of foreign films, so I watch the straight up foreign actual native speaking language with the subtitles. And every time they were speaking it was every line, but when they were speaking Norwegian or Nordic, they it was tripping me out. Like, it just, everything sounded like so coherent but like jumbled up. It was like that's how it sounded to me, and I couldn't focus on it. It's so
Yeah,
funny.
it's a fascinating language, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. Like, I was just thinking, like, how are they even speaking that right now?
I know. It's an awesome film. It's not like the other found footage films in the genre, which are usually like straight up sort of, like Paranormal Activity, sort of horror related stuff. Because it wasn't necessarily a horror film, was it? I thought it was like a found footage meets mockumentary.
Yeah.
Great special effects for an independent film as well.
Right. I thought the budget was higher than what it was. I didn't see how much it was, but apparently it's not high at all. I think it was like $3 million or something for it, which is very impressive. I think it's because they definitely, with the lighting and everything and the way they shot it, like, I think that really helped them. They're just like in the Godzilla 2014 movie, like, they had good effects for that movie because Godzilla was in the dark most of the time, and like you saw him like a little bit in the light, but in the dark he worked perfectly. That's how it was for this, and you could the scene where the first troll turned into rocks. That one was a little iffy. I think that effect wasn't too good, but everything else, like the big one at the end, the Jotnar. Oh my god, dude, that thing was fucking terrifying, man.
I like how the film keeps amping up as well. It's interesting pace of how they reveal the trolls, isn't it? Because they don't reveal them for quite a while, do they? Just build up the characters and the setting and the overall tone. and then obviously the trolls come, and then it slows down for a bit, and then the trolls get smaller, don't they? They go into. I think that was the creepiest part, when they find the really small trolls in the cave.
Yeah.
Yeah, they like eat people and everything, and then obviously it takes another break, and then at the end it's the super troll, which was really quite something.
Yeah, that was. Man, how big do you think that troll was? Oh my god, dude! I
Yeah.
love seeing big things in movies like that. It just makes
Yeah.
it's awesome all the time. I see a big monster like that. It's just fucking cool.
Yeah, I love kaiju. I love kaiju films. The whole genre, not even just the Japanese ones, but every time, even like, I liked the US 2014 Godzilla the most
too.
out of the newer Godzilla,
Right.
because it felt like, it just felt a bit more artistic than the three newer ones, the Godzilla versus Kong,
Yeah.
which was just absolutely ridiculous, and they
was
don't even
horrible.
fight that much even. Just like Marvel cringe dialogue, but that Godzilla 2014 had actual tension to it, and it really felt like there was a bit more thought gone into it than just, hey, let's throw these big monsters on screen.
Yeah, that I've probably seen that movie about 10 times now, ever since it came out in theaters, and it's just Bryan Cranston, he gave a wonderful performance. That's the only problem I had with it, is that he wasn't in it the whole movie, which I was sad about. But
I know, right?
the rest of
was
the
a great-
cast, yeah, the rest of the cast was still pretty good. I like the guy, the Asian man in the movie. He was
Oh,
kinda
yeah.
cool. He was good.
And he was a great he was a great call. He was obviously a great connection with the Japanese element of the series as well, without being too ham-fisted. I really wish they'd followed that direction with the new Godzilla films, but now it's basically just it's like it's just become Freddy versus Jason, hasn't it? In fact, Freddy versus Jason is way better than Godzilla versus
Oh my
Kong.
God,
Freddy versus Jason. Hilarious.
One of my favorite movies of all time. I watched that movie when I was a kid. I've been like, I just love it.
I love
You know
it.
how stupid it is, but like that's the fun part about it. Like they're not trying to be too serious. That's what I love about it. Except the weird
was the perfect
shaky
film.
thing in that movie. It was like slow motion, but it was like, it's a couple scenes. It would like. I don't know. It would move really weird, but other than that, though, like I like the way Jason looked. Freddy was funny. It was all great. But I do love horror.
I remember they were supposed to make a sequel to that, and I don't think it ended up getting greenlit. I think it was going to be like Ash versus Freddy versus Jason, Pinhead versus Freddy versus Jason. I was so down for that, but it never saw the light of day. I hope one day maybe it can come about, because people would eat that up. People love this like the nostalgia factor at the minute of these old characters and that. Why don't they do it?
Yeah, you see how much money they make. Like even the new Halloween trilogy was terrible, but I mean you can't deny how much money they made from that. So if they do Michael versus Jason, Michael versus Freddy, or Michael versus Art the Clown, maybe be very
just get
interesting.
them all in.
Right,
Yeah, it'd be like
every
Super
single-
Smash Brothers, the horror edition.
That'd be really awesome, dude. I would. Oh my
Super
God.
Slasher Brothers.
Dude, that would be cool. Or they could make like a mini series or something where they have like showdowns. It's like a final. It's like a March Madness type bracket. You're like facing off the ones who have who is most likely to win versus the ones that aren't most likely to win, and then they face off until it gets to like the actual meat of the finalists who are really good, and like it just, oh my God, that would be.
I reckon Leatherface is probably the strongest of all the slasher.
You think so?
Slasher characters from Batman. Maybe because he's just quite crazy, and he just seems to be really stacked and built up. But then again, I guess Jason is also sort of immortal. They're all sort of immortal though, aren't they? But because Mike Myers, Michael Myers in the films, in the credits, he's actually listed as he's called the Shape, isn't he?
Mm-hmm.
He's like, it's like all the lore behind the scenes, he's like a force, isn't he, that just happens to be occupying like this lad called Michael Myers, who's like a vessel for this thing. I thought they really should have leaned more into that in the films, but the problem with all these slasher films is they just keep repeating like the very first film, but a bit different, don't they? There's a few exceptions though.
Right. I mean, I'm grateful that I got to watch all the Halloween movies. Like, I hate 5 and 6, and I hate Resurrection. H2O, I don't really like. I used to like that one a lot, but The Mask is terrible. But I do like 1, 2, 4. I like 3 too, even though that's not Michael Myers.
Is H2O? Oh yeah, three is probably my favorite of favorite that isn't the first two.
Hmm.
They're the best ones for me, the first two, and then the third one I loved how they switched it up a bit. But isn't H2O the one where they killed off Jamie Lee Curtis's character?
That's Resurrection in the first
Oh,
couple minutes.
Resurrection.
Yeah, that one was just, and there was no reason
Yeah.
because they chopped off they chopped off his head at the end of H2O. Perfect ending, like that was a perfect ending. And then they made up this whole bullshit story that Michael switched it with the paramedic, and she actually chopped off his head instead. And then she went to the mental asylum for killing an innocent person, and then. Oh my god, that was so fucking stupid. And then Busta Rhymes is in it. Like, dude, what the hell is even going on here? The movie was
Oh
terrible.
yeah. Yeah, again, it was a product of that era, wasn't it? You just could it could have never been made other than that in that time
Oh
frame.
god, no.
I really like one of my favorite Nightmare on Elm Street films. Probably my favorite, other than the first one, or maybe the third one, is it Wes Craven's A New Nightmare, where it's like the making of. It's like a really
Yeah.
meta film where it's the making of the film, but Freddy actually comes into the real world, and they've got all the actors in it, hasn't they? Like Robert Englund
Hmm.
and all them. That was really cool. That was a good one.
Yeah, I like those kind of movies. That kind of led to him making Scream. That kind of they're kind of similar in that way, how they're both meta and stuff. And
Mm.
I mean, Scream is a perfect movie too. I love that.
Oh, I love Scream. I love the Scream. Yeah, I love Scream. The first one. Scream. The first one, I'd say, is just like one of not just one of the best horror films, just like one of the smartest films of its era. Just so self-aware. And then I feel like I like the whole Scream series, but they do just get a bit worse with each one.
Yeah.
And I'm now really not on the hype train anymore. Like I watched the new one, and it's like, yeah, okay, I get that the whole theme of the series is this like meta quality, but it's starting to become a bit on the nose and not very clever, and feels like something that a teenager would write at this minute.
Yeah, and when you don't even have
Plus,
Wes,
all the
Wes
main cast is
Craven.
dead.
Yeah.
Like they killed off all of the original heads, and so I'm not invested in. Is it the Wednesday girl? She's in it.
Jenna
isn't she?
Ortega. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not invested in these new like Gen Z characters in the Scream universe. So, and also that they've now, the next one is now in development hell, isn't it? It's up in the air because they had that. There was like some disagreement, wasn't there? There's some controversy happened.
Yeah, with the
Can't
one
remember.
actress in it, like I forgot what she did, or she did something
Yeah.
that pissed off the studio, but it was like something that wasn't bad or anything. I think they just got pissed off for some reason. But yeah, I really
Mm.
don't know. So I never seen the movie. I watched the dead meat kill counts for it, so I didn't watch the actual
Yeah.
movie, but I got like a gist of what the hell
I guess you
happened with
basically
it.
watched it.
Yeah, like I didn't feel like actually sitting down and watching it.
I do that with a few films sometimes, and I'm like, I don't really want to watch this because I know it's probably not very good, but I bet there's some good kills or some good thrilling parts of it. A bit like like Saw, the best traps or something, because I can't be
Yeah.
asked watching all of them films. They're so I
It's
find them quite boring.
It's tough. It's tough. Luckily I watched them at a younger age, so like I was more interested in it. But yeah, now watching them, it's like it's kind of hard to get through. But my first watch through them, especially the first movie, I like the first movie a lot. It was one of the better ones. But
Mm.
yeah, the rest they get horrible. They really do. I used to like
First one
Saw
was
3.
yeah, oh, yeah, that one. That's the last okay one, I guess.
Yeah.
The first one, when you watch it now, is actually it's actually relatively tame because it's not about the gore or the torture porn. It's more about like the idea surrounding it and the twists and turns and the sort of like the cop element to it. So it wasn't really like a torture porn movie, was it? The first Saw.
Oh
It
no.
wasn't until they realized, oh, this is the way to get people to the cinema.
Yeah, the only scene in that movie that was brutal was when he's chopping off his leg, but they didn't really show it. I mean, they showed it bleeding, but that's about it. I mean, there wasn't really
More in
anything.
imagination, isn't it?
Yeah. So and then it just led to. I mean, who would have thought it would have led to this many 10 movies? Like, are you kidding? Dude, it's like so many for a damn song.
You Another fan footage film you watched was at Lake Mungo, which is probably
Oh,
one of my
yes.
favorite horror films.
Yes, I really disliked it after I finished it, and then just like I don't know, I started thinking about it. I'm like, wait, no, that was actually really, really, really good.
Yeah, Yeah, that's a good point you make. It's one of them films that you come back, you finish it. Oh, what was that? And then you sort of ruminate on it, and you contemplate what you just watched, and it richens, doesn't it? The
Hmm.
experience after the fact. I think my favorite part, obviously, the most iconic bit is
Right.
the real disturbed shot
Oh
towards the
my
end. But
God,
I,
that was
I
something.
loved how I loved how it just sort of it changes up as it goes along. So you find out more about the girl, and it had a bit of like that Twin Peaksy vibe where it's like, oh, the really young innocent girl, and nothing could be going on, and then you find more about her life and all the weird stuff that was going on behind the scenes in
Her
Lake
neighbor
Mungo
and
with that
shit.
girl.
Like,
Yeah, that was the really captivating part of it for me.
yeah.
Uh, really good. If no one's watched that, definitely
And
get on it. Don't want to
yeah,
spoil
I
it.
don't. Yeah, we don't want to spoil that because that's a movie you want to go in not knowing anything. But I saw
Mm,
the only thing I saw from it before was I saw a thumbnail for the jump scare thing. Not, I mean, I guess it was. Would you call it? It's not really a jump scare. It is like I think they do a little jump scare for it, but it's mostly just it's like a slow build up to something like holy shit.
yeah.
But I saw the picture of that, but I didn't know what that was at the time, so it didn't really spoil it
Not
for me.
like a
But yeah, when
It's not
I
like a cheap Insidious type jump scare, is it? It's more shocking. It gets under your skin rather than being like a adrenaline shot sort of jump scare.
yeah.
It's one that sort of sticks in your mind. Like, I think that's the thing with jump scares in horror films. I don't think there's anything wrong with them as long as they're done tastefully. And most
Right.
like really mainstream horror films just literally want to just shock you, like in a raw sort of way, whereas the really deep horror films want to get under your skin and make you think about it and like burn it into your retinas in a way.
Yeah, because Lake Mungo is like it's a short movie. It's like an hour and a half, a little less than an hour and a half, but it's slow. It's a slow burn up until it gets to that one
But yeah,
scene, and it's just like, okay, what
mm.
the fuck? That's
It
that
all
part.
comes together, doesn't it?
Yeah, when I was watching, I was like I was getting like I was bored with it up at that point. I'm like, dude, is this movie gonna get any better? And then that scene happened, and then it
Mm.
kind of changed my opinion on it. And then I started like reading up on it, and watching analysis. I'm like, I totally missed that. So I'm gonna watch it again at some point. But like, yeah, just man, just when that scene came on, I mean, there's a reason why it's talked about as one of the greatest scenes in a horror movie because it's just so unexpected because you don't know what you're looking at. Like when I was watching it, I was like, "What is that thing?" It looks like, I mean, it looks like a person. I don't know, but then when they get up close to it, you're just like, "Holy shit, that is yeah."
Mm.
Like so, we're not gonna say it, but like, that's
Yeah.
so fucking scary, dude.
It's a good mashup between like realistic real world horror and the disturbed like semi supernatural horror in a sense. A nice marriage because obviously that's got a bit of a mockumentary style and
Right.
it takes itself very seriously but never to the point where you're like, oh, this is ridiculous. I was completely invested in it.
Yeah.
Really really well made. A lot of these horror films that the scariest horror films are sort of simpler independent style movies. What would you say is the scariest film you've ever watched, like that's actually proper stuck with you?
Ooh, that's
It's hard
tough
to
to
say.
say. Yeah, that's really hard to say because I'm not.
I don't really get scared
Yeah, it's hard for me like because this
anymore.
Lake Mungo scared me in that scene, but like everything like it's the creep factor of it. But there's some like when I was a kid, Sinister really scared me when I was younger. When I saw that, I was like terrified of Bagul the whole time. But now
Mm.
it's not because the ending is just not good at all. But the 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 Super 8 tapes when they were showing him when Bagul was in the corner and like you couldn't really see him, that was when it was really powerful. Like it was if they would have just stuck with that and not shown him fully and the kids didn't come in the movie, that would have been such a great movie. But it's still good, but it's not as good as
Yeah,
it was supposed to be. Like that movie could have been amazing, like a top 10 horror film in my opinion. Because
yeah.
Ethan
Diamonds is a
Hawke,
rough
like
one.
he was really good in that movie with his acting and shit.
Mm. For me, I rewatched 28 Days Later, which is one of my favourite films. I watch it every 5 years or so, or I let a nice amount of time pass between watching it, and it gets scarier for me as I grow up now because I think just the way it's shot is so disturbing. It's almost like shot on a Nokia brick sort of phone, and it makes
Yeah.
it feel a lot more gritty. And obviously, living in the UK as well, having seeing that on screen, it's so immersive, and you can imagine it actually happening. It also takes itself seriously, and just something about the infected where like it's more scary for me than a zombie, like an undead person with this like I don't know, yeah, there's some weird virus that's turned them into this brain dead like living corpse. Whereas like in 28 Days Later, it's like people have just gone mad with rage to the point where they just kill each other because that's the only thing. That's the only thing they want to do in it. Like the prime directive is just to kill. It's like pure evil, and something about it really disturbs me. Not scares me, but like it just yeah, it makes me feel
No, I
weird,
feel
which
it.
I like.
Yeah. No, man, I saw that movie a long time ago. I need to rewatch it because I literally only remember the scene where he's walking on the bridge or whatever in the city and there's no one around. That's literally all I can remember from that movie. So I need to rewatch it
Mm.
again because yeah, that was I remember I
Another
watched 28 Weeks Later before, but that movie I don't know.
oh yeah,
That it was
20 weeks later is okay.
yeah. Um,
It's
let's
not it lost a bit of the disturbing flair to it because it was a bit more overproduced, and that's sometimes a problem with horror films. There's too much production in them. I like the sort of the gritty raw films. They make me feel weirder than the mainstream overproduced ones.
mm-hmm. Um, Dude, it's asking what my favorite horror movie is that or what's the scariest horror movie. That's so tough. Like I'm just looking on Reddit right now, people listing theirs. Um, Someone said Hereditary. Hereditary actually, when I saw that in theater, I had no idea what it was going to be like. So I was actually pretty shook after that movie. That was something I
Yeah,
really
too fair, that
enjoyed.
scared me quite a bit.
Yeah,
I
that
watched
was yeah.
I just watched it like a year after it came out, just on my tablet. I remember in my room being like, "Oh yeah, I fancy watching a horror film," and I knew that. I was like, "Oh yeah." I didn't think it'd do it. I didn't think I'd have any reaction from it, but it really disturbed me. It disturbed me because I liked the way they filmed it, where there's stuff in the background where it doesn't focus your attention on it like in other horror films, where like if there's something in the background, it'll zoom in and do like a sound effect. But like in Hereditary, there'll be like someone in the background with a weird face or like like a snippet of something weird, and you'll only catch it if you're actually paying attention to the background. I really liked stuff like that where it was a bit more subtle. And like yeah, when you see like the naked people in the background
Yeah.
towards the end, and they've got like their eyes are gouged out, and they got smiley faces, and they're all naked. I thought I love that sort of horror.
Right.
Um,
And when she was cutting her head off with the piano wire, like that
yeah,
was oh
that's
man.
that's
And
bad.
with Midsummer, I saw that in theaters. I didn't really like that movie as much as I thought it was a good movie, but like I also
Mm.
I hated the shroom part. That part gave me anxiety. I hate like watching people have bad trips in movies because it gives me I like it.
Yeah.
Climax actually made me fucking freak out. That's actually one of the scariest movies I've seen is Climax do that because it's just the whole bad acid trip. Like if I was on acid watching that, it would have been a terrible time. But good thing I was sober because I was having like a freaking panic attack watching that movie, just thinking about how I would be in that situation since I know what it's like to have a
Mm.
bad trip. Uh, that's
That
that's
is
terrifying.
that is an amazing film. I really really love that one. It's my favorite of his. I think it's Gaspar Noé.
Yeah, I
It's like the most beautifully twisted film ever because the way it looks is like it's gorgeous film, isn't it? Like visually, the color palette, cinematography is beautiful, but it's also so twisted and depraved and sad as well.
yeah, that one scene with the kid that got stuck in the frickin' furnace. Oh my god,
Oh my
that
god,
stuck with
yeah,
me. But
yeah.
the dancing was really like I was hypnotized by it. Like I was like all their
Yeah.
dancing shit. Like I was watching all those scenes after I watched the movie, and it's just like the scene where it's an aerial shot and they're all in the circle and they're all doing different dance
Mm,
moves. Like that scene was like really good. It wasn't scary. I mean, there's nothing scary about that, but it was just like really interesting. That scene.
yeah.
It's really it's a slow burn too because the it starts off really slow. Like I was thinking in the beginning, I'm like, is this a horror movie? Like they're all just talking about shit and random shit, and then shit just goes way down. And it's just like you're just immersed into this fucking. It's like one of those carnival rides that you go into, they walk into, and the tunnel is spinning, but you're just on the fucking the walkway, but you feel like you're going
Yeah.
upside down. That's like what it felt like watching that movie.
Yeah, the camera work was really mesmerizing. It's one of them I can it's like it's almost for me it's disturbing, but almost like relaxing because of how hypnotizing it is. It's like a descent into madness, and it just stirs up so many emotions, and that's why it's probably one of my favorite films of like the past 10 years. To be fair, because it's just so experimental and inventive, and the tonal. I love like the first 40 minutes. Really is like a bait and switch where if you had no idea what the film is going to be about, you don't know that it's going to be about psychedelic delirium, do you, at all?
No.
You think it's going to be about very horny French people, but it says about horny French
A
people,
bunch of
but yeah,
gay French people.
yeah, I know. There are some horny boogers, them
Oh my
French, to
god,
be
the
fair.
whole thing! I was like, man, they're gonna have fucking orgies the whole time. And it's just like, yeah,
Yeah,
that was something. They all want to have sex with each other. The fucking
yeah.
incestual relationships too. Like, oh my
Oh
god,
yeah, that was so
the
bizarre.
guy, the brother wanted to
French,
fuck his sister so bad.
oh yeah, that was crazy. French films in general, I've watched a lot of like French. There's a term for it. That French like new wave of extremism or something from the like 2000s. Of like irreversible,
I need to
and
see that movie still. I'm waiting to see it. I need to see it.
that's really good. It's really good. Obviously, it's quite sickening, but again, if you like extreme films, it's really good. Not gratuitous either. There's a point to it, and it's done quite tastefully. In even though it's very depraved.
Right.
And then there's another one called I can't quite remember what it's called. I think it's called Inside, and it's about this woman who goes on like she wants to get revenge on this other woman for something to do with a child or something. I have to find the name of it, but there's some great gore effects in that, like insanely good. I think it's called Inside.
I just
Or
looked it up.
something.
All'intelio.
Oh yeah, Lintel, yeah.
I took French. I should know how to say these damn words. Wait, watch now free
Yes.
on what? Is this? Oh, it's on Tubi. All right, cool. There's also another movie I wanted to watch. I was watching. We'll talk about back to that Watch Mojo thing about the top 10 found footage movies. There's one. It was another mockumentary about a film crew who followed this serial killer who in his day-to-day life, and that looks really interesting. Oh god, I forgot the name of it already. Fuck.
Is it is that a French film as well?
I think it's Belgian.
Or is it Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer?
I don't think so. Wait,
No.
1992 Belgian film serial killer. Let's see. Man bites dog. It's
Oh
on
yes,
HBO
that's the
Max.
one.
Yeah, I need to see that. That looks
Bite
really good.
Yeah, I've seen a bit about that. That looks cool.
Yeah.
Something about these Europeans, man. They love their extreme kino.
Dude, they're amazing at making fucking funny games. Have you seen funny games before?
Yes, I've seen
Oh my
both of them, the
god.
German and the American remake, which was in. What's interesting about that film, right? He's one of my favorite directors, at Michael
Me
Haneke.
too.
I've
Yeah, me
discovered
too.
him.
Yeah.
YMS Talks. I got onto him through Your Movie Sucks, because
Right.
that's his favorite director,
Yeah.
and I've watched quite a few of his films. Cachet or Cash, that was probably my favorite. That's really really good film. But yes, that the Funny Games was interesting because the American remake was actually he remade it himself, didn't he? I swear, like
Right.
don't quote me on this, but I think this is true. I think the Hollywood wanted to remake it, and they reached out to him for the rights, and he was like, "Well, I don't want someone else remaking my film, so if it needs to be remade, if you want it, I'll do it myself." So it was quite interesting. They complement each other, but the German one is a lot more, a lot purer. I think I
Yeah,
preferred the
'cause
acting in that.
YMS said Adam said that he prefers the American version because he said it's more well shot. But I like the one
Yeah.
the main actor and the main evil guy, the one with the black hair. Like I don't know, something about him is just pisses me. That movie pissed me off so much watching. Oh my god, that it is built to piss you off. And then he was also in Benny's Video. I watched that after I saw that, and he was
Oh yeah,
yeah, that was a really good one.
I've not watched that one yet. Yeah, I need to get on that.
Yeah. It has the same. The father in Funny Games. He's in that movie. He's his father. Yeah, but it gets you. It's just like a Michael Haneke film. It's just like well, the shit went downhill really fast.
Mm. There's a lot of political undertones to his films, or like societal themes. Like in Funny Games, obviously not to spoil it, but a big theme of it was like our relationship with violence in films and how we sort of feed off it and crave it, because there's some meta elements of Funny Games, isn't there, where they talk to the camera at certain points.
Very
don't they?
meta. That might be the most meta movie of all time. I mean, just
Yeah,
the scene
yeah,
where he picks
definitely
up the
there.
remote. I mean, that was just purely insane. Like, I was like, what?
Yeah, it
Oh,
really sticks with you, stuff like that.
I'm gonna go grab another beer really quick. So just talk to the audience.
I'll keep them entertained. Hey guys, it's Vivek here. How's everybody doing? So it's good to be back on. I couldn't make it last time, but yep, we're back in action now. If anyone has any suggestions for people to get on the podcast, please let us know as well, because we'd love to reach out to more people in this scene. And if enough people suggest one person, we'll prioritize them.
Hmm. What are we talking about?
I was just trying to keep them entertained while you refuel.
Refuel my second beer. I always say 2 beers is a good amount, but then I always end up drinking more than two. So
Mm. To be fair, everyone in England today will be drinking like mad, because currently it's the Euros, which is like a football league. Yeah, I don't know much about football, like soccer, but yeah, it's like it's like the World Cup, but for the Euros, just like the Euro Cup. I
oh
don't know the
yeah,
terminology, but basically it's a big deal, and everybody's going out drinking tonight because it's England versus someone or other. So
that would
I think I'm the
be
only English
go
person.
to one of those games because like I could just imagine European fans are just insane from what I've seen. Like they start fires and shit in the stands. It's a lot crazier than
Oh yeah.
America.
Oh yeah. Like I say, I'm not really into sports. Like I like watching them, but I don't follow them. I've been to like an ice hockey game before. I've been to a footy game before. Just to try it out and just tick it off the bucket list really. But I don't find myself getting like super invested. But I do find it very amusing how emotional people get over
It's
their
crazy.
team. Like some of my hardest like lads mates that you'd think like don't have any emotions or won't cry ever. They'll literally weep tears when England loses in the World Cup or whatever, and it's like they've lost the closest family member.
Dude, it's crazy. It's crazy how big of a distraction it is in everywhere, not just England or Europe or America. Brazil is really big with soccer, football, but yeah, it kind of like takes the edge off of people. I think that's why it helps, and you just grow a connection because it's like it's your area, it's your city. You think that's you, that belongs to you, so they root for
Yeah.
them, and yeah, so it's just, I mean,
There is a bit of there's a lot of tribalistic elements going on with sports, isn't there? And
mhm.
in a sense, I think it's actually really cool. Like I think the healthy aspects of sport are awesome because it does bring people together. But since there is that tribal element, there's always going to be that conflict where it's like, oh no, the other tribe is bad because they are not my tribe.
They're very evil. Um,
Yeah.
all right, so wow, that was a good talk right there. What is
Mm.
there anything that we should bring up today,
Oh, I
or
was just going to tell you about. I've been really hammering the guitar at the minute, doing my
oh yeah,
best on that. Yeah, obviously, very much. I'm literally like 3 days in, but I've been putting like a few hours in each day, and I can't keep myself off it. Like when I wake up, it's the first thing I think. Like I cannot wait to get stuck in and learn more,
that's
and
awesome.
keep failing, and enjoy the failure. And then now today, I've like the first few days now of having it is just literally been figuring out how I hold it with my hand, because we got everyone's hands
Right.
are built differently, aren't they? And like you watch these tutorials on YouTube, and I'm watching this really good one. I can't remember, but he takes into account. He's like, you need to be conscious of the fact that my hands aren't your hands, so don't try and emulate how I hold it. Get a
Hmm.
feel for how it is in your own hands, and now I can actually play it without say like. Um, going over onto the other strings accidentally or something, or I can now play it. I can now play it in a melodic sense rather than stumbling around trying to get a riff. I can now get a nice little, very simple like chord going, and I was like, oh, that's pretty good for just 3 days. I thought that'd take me like 5 years.
Did you you probably played Smoke on the Water, right? That's like the
Oh
first
yeah,
riff you learn. Okay, yeah, and then Can't Get No Satisfaction. That's another one that was like one of the early
yeah.
ones. But there's a guy, Guitar Lessons 365. He's really like he goes in depth with everything. He was the one who like taught me most of my stuff. I never learned like I mean I know a lot of songs I like to listen to were always songs that had a bunch of different intricacies, and then solos are really difficult to do early on, so I had to wait for that.
Oh yeah.
But I still tried. I mean, it didn't really matter to me. But you know, the songs. There's a song. What's it called? Fuck. It's damn it. It's something by the Sonics. I could find. I got the playlist right here, really quick.
Mm.
Hold on. Let me go and find it really quickly. Um,
Interesting, even just like doing the very basics, like tuning it and just learning that. It's just I think I'm loving it so much because I'm just constantly learning, and I've been gagging to learn something new. And you don't really get a better hobby, a creative hobby, than picking
right.
up an instrument. I find, or
Right.
it's my artistic, because I mean, yeah, it's artistic, isn't it?
Right. The the song is called "Have Love Will Travel." Have a love, baby will
Oh
travel.
yeah,
Down, down, down,
yeah,
down,
yeah.
down, 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 down. It's literally that the whole time. So that's actually a really good song to learn because that's just it's repeated over and over. And then there's like a dan 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 dan, and then it goes back to the main thing. And then it's
Yeah.
just like that could be a good song for you to learn. Like maybe not right now, but like in the future because that
Mm.
you don't need to know too much about that for to learn it because it's just so two different things. That's it. Like that's if you're just
Mhm.
repeating that over and over again, like I mean that's you're gonna get it eventually. Um,
Yeah, that's another thing I've just had to be aware of, is to not bite off more like than I can chew. Like if I want to just write, if I want to get this riff sounding good, don't just no half measures. Like you can get to points like, oh, it sounds all right. I was like, no, I want to like perfect it and then move on to the next thing, rather than try and just learn the guitar in like a week straight. It's like, no, just be aware that the process is going to take a long time, and flow with it, and also being aware of the fact that like I spent like a few hours on it yesterday, and then after I was getting tired I was starting to mess up, and then I was like, okay, right, this is the time to just
time to end.
put it
Yeah.
down,
Right.
put it down and go to bed. And then the day when I woke up the next day, I jumped on and I was even better than I was the day before, because
Right.
I was coming on from the knowledge that I'd gained the last day. So it's just awesome knowing that every single day you're making strides towards something really, really creative.
Yeah, the thing like I haven't been playing as much. I actually for some reason I picked it up this morning before work, which have never done in my life. So I did that, and like I haven't played it in about a couple months. It's been a couple months since then
Mm.
because I've just been not like I don't know. I see it, I'm just like and then yeah.
Yeah.
So it's with the YouTube too and everything and working. I'm just mostly tired all the time. But like, you know, before
Yeah,
when I was starting, I was really excited like you were, and you can't lose that excitement, and I was practicing hours and hours on end, and it takes a while to fucking learn, and but you know it's pretty cool what you can make yourself do if you practice long enough. Like you're just like, holy shit, I actually just fucking did that. And yeah, it's like you're doing a magic trick, you're learning a magic trick, and then you actually do it, you surprise yourself. That's like what it is, basically.
Mm.
Like pick a card, any card, and you actually pick the right card. You're like, oh my god, wait, that was real.
Yeah, it just shows you that it's possible, but yeah, your limited mind loves to spin it like, nah, you won't be able to do it, or there's no point, or save your money, or do this, or do that, and it's because your ego mind doesn't like to change, does it? Your limited self, in a sense, and then you just got to be like, right, just don't. The fact that I'm even having these thoughts is almost the catalyst towards overcoming them. Like they exist to be overcome. And I remember the way I got the guitar was, I've been feeling it for a while. I told you, didn't I, a few weeks ago, that
Yeah.
I was getting the feel. I was getting the call for it. And I just on Saturday, I just went round to my mates on Friday night, and we had a few wines, we watched a few films and that, and I stayed over at his house, and I woke up a bit hungover the day after, and I just sat on his couch, and I was like, right, there's two realities now. One where I go home and just lie in bed and think, right, what am I doing? Or there's this other reality where I'm like, right, just get in the car. Obviously, I was completely sober. I waited for a while, and I was like, right, just go straight into town and get a guitar. And I was like, yes, let's do that. But obviously my ego mind was like, no, you want to go, just stay in your comfort zone or whatever. And I was like, oh, it was so liberating to just be like, right, this is now a big new thing that's happened in my life now. And really felt good for the dopamine receptors.
Yeah, it's a great hobby to have. It keeps you in, like, if something were to happen, you know, with YouTube, God forbid, or anything, like, at least you can have a hobby to go back to and, like, do it. And that could be motivation, you know, just learning it and just thinking about all the fucking bitches you can pick up if you play the guitar. Because especially European, I mean, there's something in the European blood that can convert blues to amazing hard rock. I mean, that's all it was back in the fucking 60s and 70s. They literally just were like, all right, well, let's look at what the Delta Blues did, and let's make it awesome. Not that it was, I mean, it was awesome before. I love Delta Blues, but just like how what they turn it into is just insane with Led Zeppelin and Deep Purple, and just like, you hear the blues in everything, and like, it's crazy what the hell they did. And that was my inspiration, just like all the guitarists, all my favorite guitarists. Now, some guitarists actually were born better to do things. Like, some people actually just picked up and were like, all right, I can play this, I'm actually pretty good. And they might not have known right away, but like, they picked it up a lot faster, and I'm very jealous of those people. But you know, people that have to work for it like us, it feels a lot sweeter when you actually get it.
Yeah, when you put so many man hours into it and just master it without having that innate natural talent like some people do, it is a bit, I find it a lot more rewarding. I was even thinking about that in like relation to how I do YouTube. Like I said, I've been making videos since like 2009, and I just thought of a day, I was thinking about how many hours I've actually poured into this whole thing throughout my life, and I was like, well, this is a great example of just, if you just persevere with something that you're passionate about, it will pay dividends in the end. It might be for some people, it might be a year, it might be like a week or something. Maybe, like for me, it's taken, how many years ago? It was 2009, 13, whatever years ago.
15.
Sorry, 15. Oh my god.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Oh, that's scary. Yeah. So yeah, 15 years ago, I started just thinking, oh, I'm just going to repost memes. Well, I was basically just like, the way I started on YouTube was funny. It's called like, my original channel was called like RD Vid Central, which is just like Random Video Central. So I just basically, I was like doing shit posting, like reposting stuff before it was even a thing. I just like steal videos from like Stage View. It was like, it was another weird like YouTube, bootleg YouTube site. And I just like took videos from there and re-uploaded them on YouTube, and got a bit of a following for a few years. And then it's just weird how it all just stemmed from that. And even then, even though that was just like, there was nothing creative about it, I was still putting hours into creating this whole YouTube persona, which is mad. And it just, again, it pays dividends. So anyone listening right now, if you got the calling, if you got that little tiny inkling of like, oh, maybe I should start doing this thing, making an Instagram or whatever, or a YouTube or a guitar, or start drawing, just do it. Like,
doesn't hurt to try. Does not hurt to try. Like, I had my last couple, like, when I do my Q&As and stuff, my live streams by myself, there's this girl that says like she wants to start doing trip reports, and I always say go for it, like, but she's worried about like stealing the thunder or something from us. Is like, dude, you literally have no issues at all. Like, you can literally do whatever you want. It would be a positive if you got popular and took shit from us, because like that's just getting more popularity.
Well, like, you get big or whatever. We're another trip reporting person in the scene. I think there's a bit, honestly, for any girls out there listening, there's a niche for a trip reporting female voice. Everyone likes to listen to a lovely female voice.
Oh yeah.
I know I do. I listen to a trip report in a female voice. Honestly, that's a niche that really is waiting to be filled. And I like you just said. Then I have some people come up to me like, yeah, bro. I find it always amuses me how modest people are like, oh yeah, I don't want to like steal your thunder, but yeah, I'm gonna make a trip report channel, and I'm sorry if it gets really big. And I'm like, don't be sorry. I'm absolutely buzzing for you. And what's buzzing for me and you is like we've inspired them to do that. Although I do encourage some people in a sense. I'm like, yeah, go for it, because you got to start somewhere, even if it's just doing trip reports or whatever. Like, you want to not emulate, but channel your favorite YouTubers and your favorite content. But also bear in mind that, like, do try and think outside the box as well. Don't just do the exact same thing, because I've noticed there are some people who, like, you'll go and some people have sent this to me on my Discord, where like people are basically making trip report videos, and I've noticed they actually even like copy and paste the way we do our titles and even the way I do like my descriptions.
Really?
So I was like, I'm like, yeah, fair enough, I get it, but if anything, for you as a person, I want you to do well. Be your own person. Don't try to be Vivek or Tales from the Trip 2.0, because you most likely not. It's not going to take off, is it?
Well, yeah, I could see in the beginning, like they would probably honestly change it after a while, like once they know. Because when I first started, I had no idea
Yeah.
like I mean, compared to what it was before, like it's such a big difference from when I first started. Like when I saw 5 years ago for my first Datura video, my first video ever, I was like, wait a second, that was 5 years ago already. It's just, and then seeing the huge difference, the way I read it, the way I introduced the video, like, oh my god, it's crazy how much you evolve and how much you find out. And
Mm.
it's a nice experience. It is very nice.
They're my favourite comments to read of all time, is when people, because obviously, yeah, I bet you are as well. Like you were on worst critic. You're constantly self-critiquing yourself. Like, oh, I should have done this. Did I
Yeah.
not? Did I not pronounce? Did I not vocalize as well in this episode? And then just this, having that like bullshit just cleanly split by someone in the comments saying like, oh, you actually really are improving, like the audio's on point, the microphone's great, there's less, you are improving. So sometimes you forget, don't you? You forget that you're constantly evolving.
Yeah.
I'm always critical. So
Yeah. Funny. The last video I did, also someone said nicotine trip report when. I just uploaded one the other day or
Oh,
a
yeah,
couple weeks
yeah.
ago. Yeah, with Chud Nelius. Shout out Chud Nelius. Yeah, actually, I liked his voice. It was actually really good. But the butane video I did the other day, or was that yesterday? I don't even remember now.
Oh,
uh,
yeah. Oh yes, that nicotine trip report you did with that creator. One of my friends, Joe, if he's listening, he could not believe that you got him in the video, because he'd been watching him for ages,
Who?
and he actually sent me the video. It's just one of my mates, Joe. That guy did the nicotine.
Oh yeah,
What's it called again?
Chud
Yeah,
Nelius.
yes, my mate Joe is really big into his content. He loves it, and he couldn't believe it. He was like, "Mate, what the fuck? Tales from the Trip has got him on." And I was like, "Yes, this is the power that we currently possess."
Dude, his voice is so deep. I was like, oh my god, dude, that's awesome.
Yeah, yeah,
But
he was built for it.
but the
Really.
butane video yesterday that I uploaded, there was a part where I read, and it was like it was talking about how a voice got really low, and when I said my voice got low, I lowered the pitch like by 5 or 6, and you notice how low it is. Like it kind of sounds natural a little bit, like I actually did it, but it's to the point where it's like, wait, was that really his voice or no? And it was like, I don't know, it's cool to do that in the video actually, like because it was like an effect kind of. I like to add some effects sometimes, like if you hear like, oh, there was a train that passed by or a car honked at me, like I like to do that shit. Or if there was a blood curdling
Yeah.
scream, I think that's a good effect to add in, because Mr. Nightmare, he's my biggest inspiration with YouTube, with narrations. Like that's the guy that really inspired me to read. I mostly narrate off of his style, and I created my own off of his. And he did that shit. Like he immerses you into the story, even from the beginning. Like he would add so many effects. I think that's an important aspect. I kind of want to add more into it, but sometimes if it's like too loud or something, it might take away from the actual story. So that's why I don't do it often. But when I do, I
Yeah.
want it, like I don't want it to be overbearing with it. But I feel like it's a good idea to do that sometimes.
Yeah, there's a fine balance. I'd like to get more into soundscapes. My mate, yeah, my best mate Keith, who does Rosa Festival, he's a brilliant producer, and he's just moved out. And he's got like basically a studio in his house. So I think I'm gonna go over there and start getting him to help me make some more like soundscapes for the
Ooh.
videos. But not, yeah, like you say, there's a fine balance, isn't there? Because if there's someone screams in the trip report and you use like some generic like the Wilhelm scream or something, like, that's gonna take people out of
That
it,
would be
and you'll
funny
get
as
something
fuck.
like it would be funny, wouldn't it? I've always been sort of tempted.
That's April
Just
Fool's
as a
Day
little,
fucking video right there.
oh yeah, you can get away with it on April Fool's Day, but yeah, there's a bit of a fine line, isn't there? When I'm making videos and I listen to it back, I'm like, oh, is this going to annoy some people? But so, you can't win with everyone, can you? Like,
No.
you just got to keep experimenting, and if your best commenters will tell you like, I liked that you experimented in this video, but maybe tweak this in the next one. They're the best sort of comments, the constructive criticism.
Actual constructive criticism, not fucking ones that say your videos suck. And I'm sorry you got mad at me for giving you constructive criticism. Like, no, there's a difference between that and what you said. Like, come on.
Yeah. I know some other ones that they don't annoy me, but I roll my eyes at them. Is when some people, obviously, I'm starting to get a bit more like on sort of on camera, sort of like self-help sort of stuff, like personal development, and trying to like guide people through like the trips and everything and help them use all these substances safely. And then like some people say that, oh, if you talked more like this, you could be like the next Terence McKenna or the next Alan Watts or something. I was like, I don't want to be Alan Watts or Terence McKenna. I want to be myself. Like that. Right. Surely that's the appeal, that I'm not just them. But then you've got to just bear in mind some people that watch your content. Some people just watch your content. Some people do literally just hate watch you, don't they? Or like just are there to critique you in every single video, even though they sort of love it in a sense. It's really weird, some of the personalities that you find in the comments.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I do that with some people too. Like, I'm intrigued. I don't comment on them, but like I watch. I'm like, dude, there's this one creator I really hate because he's actually a bad person, but I would watch him just to piss myself off for some reason. I don't know why, but it was just like some weird urge to watch it. Do we respond to the show?
I get that. Yes. I get that. I get that, to be fair, and so I do empathise with all these people who do it with myself and yourself as well, because sometimes there are YouTubers who I've got a bit of a it's like a guilty pleasure in a sense. It's almost like not hate watching, because I don't hate them, but I know that I don't like the content. It's like these really shallow these shallow UK like vloggers where like everything I ate in a day or something. Like how many pink things can I buy in a week or something? And I'm like, but something about it, like it's so shallow and so brain dead and on the nose that I just like.
Well, that's an exception. That's an exception. You can't count that. That's everyone should hate that shit, because that's just so. Some of the stuff that passes for content nowadays is just crazy. I feel like we're actually we do good content. You can't go wrong with reading stories to people and just putting them in a nice compilation or whatever. But like when people just do random stupid shit, that makes me so angry.
Tell you one thing. I was going to ask you about. I'm now absolutely overwhelmed or inundated with like user submitted trip reports now on my Discord and my emails that I will never ever be able to get round to all of them ever, and it's a shame, because and sometimes this is another thing that doesn't annoy me, but I just have to get real with people sometimes. Like they'll send me a report and some people are like, yes bro, you this one's gonna go viral, or this one's gonna be an extra report, and I'm like mate, I'm literally just going through them as I get them. Like I don't want to cherry pick them. I mean sometimes I do cherry pick them because some of them are just not written well. Like some of them are like 50 50 words long.
Right, that's the problem. Like, dude, I'm not gonna read your story if it's 50 fucking words. It's not gonna happen.
I know, but I feel and I feel bad because I've gotten loads of good ones. Like I've got ones from years back, like 2021. I've had people send me like biblical trip reports, and I've now had to go back and email some of them and say, look, right, I'm never going to be able to do all of these. If you've obviously poured a lot of your heart and soul into writing this, why don't you post it to like Earwid or something? If you actually want to get it out there, I don't think I'm the only person, or you, that is able to get this out there for the world. Go post it on Reddit or something. Or I mean, I'd say just post it on Earwid. Like it's a great place to compile trip reports. Doesn't have to be just through us. Yeah, don't let your talent go to waste. And my
Right.
emails.
Yeah, because I got 3.6 thousand members in my Reddit community now, and there's like before there was like maybe a story every couple days or maybe like once a week, but now it's like at least 2 or 3 a day. But you know,
Mm,
to help this is what I think you should do too. I on my second channel I read a lot of trip reports that I'm not going to be able to read on my main channel, and I get a couple out, you know. So like I read like 6 or 7 of them, and I knock them out, and you know I still won't be able to get every single one, but at least I'll get a lot more. And you know it makes me feel better that
yeah.
I get to do it. So that's the way I've actually helped that problem. And I've been reading mostly from my page. Like it's I still read Arrowwood reports, especially with the ones that I read that are like obscure drugs, but like you know normal drugs. And especially when people upload like a weed report or an acid report, I'm like I'm not like I don't want to read a weed or an acid report anymore. Like shrooms too. Like I'll read a
Mm,
shroom report every once in a while, but like you know I like focusing on stuff that is just not supposed to you're not supposed to do like and then I like to do you know weed or acid every like maybe once a year now, but I like to do the reports that are
yeah.
very interesting to me, like medications and stuff like that. And I when I get those, when I get a super long story that's formatted perfectly, oh my god, that's going on my channel for sure. Like there's no doubt about it. I mean that's just gonna
Oh
be
yeah, yeah.
it's gonna be featured on there. Like I love it when I see a trip report that says like, oh, Prozac may ruin my life or something. Like that is definitely gonna go on my channel because I just love reading antidepressant medication stories. Because you know you're not supposed to. It's supposed to help you. You know, but when your life you become suicidal on it, or you feel like death, and it just like when that happens, I love like it's because it's so real. You know, it's not like we know that trips are very fantastical and whimsical and stuff, but like with these it's just like so
Mm,
with my channel it's so disturbing and realistic. That's why I like those when I get acid and shrooms and weed stories, I get them like a shitload of times, you know, and it's like the same thing over and over, so it's like not as interesting to me, but I'll read it every once in a while. And especially for my second channel, I'll read it on the compilations like the frightening trip reports to fall asleep to. But for the main channel, I just love reading those obscure stories that don't usually get read and people should know about, you know, just because I actually like to make harm reduction a real thing, you know.
yeah, you've definitely cracked the format now for your presentation of these bad drug experiences, and they really do. The ones that really do hit home are like the ones that you focus on now more like the prescription ones, butane, stuff that like really just like quite the more like depraved drugs,
Right.
and like there's a good syn now. Now there's a really great synergy between mine and your channel, where it's like right, we both. I've realised I was experimenting the same, like when I was just doing the trip reports first 2 years. I was like, I'll just do anything. I'll do a methamphetamine report, and then I'll just do like the DPH report or whatever. But now I've realised, right, okay, what is the bread and butter of my channel? It is the psychedelic mystical
Right.
stuff.
Right.
And the bread and butter of your channel is now it's like the pharmaceuticals and the opioids, or the really like
The
really dark
inhalants and
drugs.
shit. Yeah, that's what I like about it, because we're not. That means we're not the same. We're not doing the same thing. You're
Yeah.
reading totally different reports than I am. Like, yeah, I'll read every once in a while. I'll read a psychedelic, but I leave that too, because you do it a lot better than I do, and I do these these normal drugs. That's my thing. So
Mm.
it's a good balance. People have the choices, like they can listen to either mine or yours or both. You know, that's what's
Yeah.
perfect about it. There's a good synergy there.
Yeah, because if someone messages me on Instagram or in my comments or something like, "Oh, when are you gonna do?" like someone said, like, "Are you gonna do a fentanyl video? Or are you gonna do like a butane video?" And I was like, "Well, this guy that I've got a podcast with does a pretty good job of that already." Like, hey, you might have heard of him. We may have collabed many, many times.
We might be actually doing a podcast right now.
Yeah, I bet that's mind blowing for the people who had no idea. It's like, oh my god, my greatest wishes come true.
They just find like a whole 3 hour discography. Well, it's more than that now. It's what, like
Mm.
15 hours maybe with the podcast and everything. Who
Oh, I
knows?
know. There's a lot of content now, and it ain't slowing down.
Not at all. Not at all.
I love it. Yeah, I just going back to that. Going, you were saying, oh, what if you never know what's going to happen with YouTube, and I was like, yeah, it would really hurt me if I lost the YouTube and we didn't have a creative thing beyond that, and that's why I'm glad I've got this guitar now, because I'm like, I'll do my YouTube during the day, and I obviously it's sort of, yeah, it's like my job and it's also my creative pursuit, and then when I finish up for the day, because you don't want to do it all day and burn yourself out because you've got to relax. I do feel a bit lost when I've finished it. I'm like, oh, I want to keep doing something creative. So now that I've got a good schedule, I'm like, okay, now focus on YouTube during the day, get that boshed. Then I can go and do something else creative and use and keep tapping into that creativity. And yeah, for anyone who's suffering, like I'd say, anyone who's feeling lost at the minute, just reflect on your life. Like, do you have a real proper hobby? Like, obviously watching films, and I like watch films are a hobby. Playing games are a hobby. Like, there's so many things are a hobby. Like working out's a hobby, but there's something more rewarding about an actual like constructive hobby where you're actually creating something rather than just like consuming something in a creative way. If you know what I mean.
Yeah, it's shit. Even watch films and then make one.
Yeah. I've always, and like in a sense, the drive to do YouTube is it? It's not obviously I've not made a film or anything, but like yeah, I used to make like a bridge series, and I still do with Chainsaw Mara and that, and it gives me like a little glimpse of like, oh, this is what it's like to actually like write a script in my own little special way, and then you work from that, and you're like, oh, well, maybe in 10 years, I might have the urge to create an actual film. And it doesn't have to be a super high budget film. I mean, like some of the best films ever, like Blair Witch Project, like it's on a camcorder. If you just get creative with it, it can blow up. And you don't even need to blow up. You just need to enjoy doing it and creating the art. Don't make the art to get somewhere. Make the art because you want to make the art. That's
Like
where
Troll
the best
Hunter. I mean, that was made
Oh yeah.
to be artists at fucking because they wanted to have the American remake for it, and like you could just imagine how terrible that would be, because like the trolls mean so much more to Norway, Nordic tales and stuff. Like Hollywood would not understand why that film works so much better in Norway than it would over here. Like it would miss the point of the whole thing if that happened, because it's such a perfect film for that specific area of the world. And it's yeah, so I like living in America. I feel safe here most of the time, but like we ruin a lot of stuff and we're kind of fucking stupid most of the time. But like if you can handle that, it's fine.
Oh, speaking of America and even the UK as well, we've got two big elections coming up, haven't we? And there's the Trump Biden debate. Isn't
there, that's in 2 days.
Oh my god, yes! Oh, I'm getting the bottle of champagne out for that. I love watching them. I think me and my mates are having like a watch party, and we're all gonna get like suited up and get the champagne on the go, and it's just so ridiculous. I feel like this is just something about it. It's like it's such a serious thing, like literally a very serious thing. Like who's going to become the president of the most influential country in the world other than China, and it's like. For me, from another country, it's just so melodramatic. It's like watching a load of puppets put on a show. It's actually hilarious, but it is a very serious thing. But the way it's presented is just so comedic. I just can't help but laugh.
Yeah, because you watching, you're like, wait, one of these people has to lead our country. It's just like other people from different countries are like, oh, this is fucking hilarious. That's how Americans see it, dude. I'm sure it's probably gonna have like at least 70 million viewers, because I think with the Hillary debates, those were pretty crazy. Even the ones with Biden last time, like Trump would just like talk over him all the time, and it was so funny just hearing them going back and forth. And this time, I mean, they're even older. I don't know how Biden's gonna even get through the fucking debates. I don't even think he's probably gonna pass out. When Trump is still the same way. I mean, he's still gonna talk, and
they'll have to give him some adrenochrome.
right. But no, that's a day before my birthday, so I'm excited. That's a good birthday present for me to watch.
Oh
that.
yeah,
and dude, I'm so pumped for it. I fucking love the debates, and when
I get so hyped for it.
Yeah, I hate politics, but I love when it's like this. I love the entertainment value. But I'm gonna go.
It's like a sports event.
Oh, it is for sure. I'm gonna go to the bathroom really quick though. I told you this might happen, so keep the audience.
Go on them.
Okay.
Hey, it's your host Vivek. back again. Yeah, I was just about to say, obviously in the UK, we just had our own debate go on between Rishi Sunak and Keir Starmer, and it's not quite on the level of hilarity as Trump and Biden, but it's definitely worth a watch if you type in Keir Starmer versus Rishi Sunak. It's hilarious. They're only allowed to speak for 30 seconds each, and they're constantly bickering over bullshit. It's crazy to think that either of these two are going to lead the country. I mean, Rishi Sunak's been leading the country for quite a bit already, and it's clearly shown that the Tory government is completely out of whack, destabilised. But then also Labour as well. It's like, yes, probably they should get in over them. I mean, yeah, they should, in a sense. Anything's better than what we've got. But the thing is, the problem with Labour and Keir Starmer is they just keep saying, "Oh, we're going to." Their whole shtick is that they just critique the other side, but they don't actually offer really any actual tangible ideas for how to change the country. So either way, no matter who gets in, you should just get on with life and try to be happy. Don't get too emotional about it. But I also see why people do get very invested in it, because some of us just gravitate towards politics more than others. I mean, I love politics, but I love researching it, but I don't get too emotionally invested. I used to be quite a bleeding heart liberal back in the day, and I'd say I'd still quite progressively minded, definitely, more so than conservative. But I don't judge people for any ideology they might have, because at the end of the day, we've all got our own beliefs.
Okay.
Anyone? I was just informing them on our end of the spectrum of because we're having a general election very soon in the next week. They
Oh,
just
the next
called
week.
it.
Yeah, I didn't even know. I'm not. I know the American election is like so much more fun to follow, but like, yeah, I don't.
Yeah, the thing is with us, we're not as dramatic. I was just saying, it is quite funny if you watch it. Keir Starmer versus Rishi Sunak, Labour versus Conservative. It is very funny, but it's not on that scathing like level of Trump v Biden, where it's like a rap diss track, isn't it? Almost.
Right. Yeah. No.
But
It's crazy. Fucking crazy.
the one thing, obviously, I mean, like, I find both of them hilarious, and I have my own personal opinions. I don't actually, I would say I gravitate more towards the Dems than the Republicans, but I wouldn't say like I fully support them. I just think that's like the lesser of two evils in a sense, and that's a bit of a dad phrase. But Trump really does understand populist rhetoric way better than the Democrats and Biden.
You'd be surprised how many people fucking there's a lot of closet Trump supporters over here. I'll tell you that.
He knows how to use humor to sway people. Whereas if you watch like Hillary, I love going. If me and my mates are just having like a party or something, we'll end up putting like Trump v Hillary on, because it's just so funny. Like, I just love watching it back. But Hillary just like. She's got these great points, and it seems to have like the purer consciousness in a sense. But Trump is just so much. He just understands how to like take the piss out of people, like, and people like that, don't they? We like laughing, and if you laugh at someone, you probably automatically like, oh, maybe he's a bit more like me than the other person, even if the other person might have better ideas and might be a better leader. Like, the guy who makes you laugh, you're probably going to gravitate towards, even if he's probably the more devilish of the two.
Right. It's like how people gravitate towards Tony Soprano. You know, Tony Soprano, he's not a good guy, but like, it's just like he was the main character. We felt like we were inside of him. And I don't know. It's kind of like that a little bit, I think.
Yes. You love Tony, because you see who he really is, and you can see how someone ends up like that, and you almost feel sorry for them in a sense, because you've got to be like that. You've got to have some demons. You've got to have a huge ego. It must be a lot of energy to keep up that like narcissistic persona. But then you will feel even worse for Tony when like he has their moments of clarity, because deep down in there, there's a good person, isn't there? But he never learns. And
Never.
That's the problem. That's a problem with Tony. He doesn't learn.
yeah, and that I love that show so much. I want to watch it again pretty soon.
I know. It's one of them. You know, I'd like if we finish this podcast. I don't know what to watch. I could literally just put it on again and be like, right, I'm happily just watching it all over again. And I get so many Instagram reels, like, you know, Sopranos has been like memeified like mad these past few years, hasn't it?
Yeah.
It's really, it's had like it's always been the biggest show. It's always been the most critically acclaimed show of all time. But it just keeps getting even more revered, especially in like today's culture. It's like even more relevant in a sense now.
It hasn't it really hasn't. It's like, I mean, yes, they had like physical things like phones and shit and computers. That's definitely dated, but the themes and shit that they had in the show, like it's such. I mean, it has not aged one bit. It has not aged at all.
No, and it's funny. It's so clever that and this is one thing I really don't like about right today's culture, sort of like cancel culture in a sense where I hate how like I don't know. It seems to be a lot of like younger people, like late teens, and that they'll go back to like the 2000s or whatever, and they'll critique the way like we spoke like back then, or some of the ideas that were presented, and they try to spin it into oh this was racist or it wasn't acceptable, it was problematic. But you can't say that out about Sopranos because the whole thing is like at the end of the day, these people that depicting the mafia, they use words like the
Right.
R word or the N word or whatever, and they use like racist vitriol because that's who they are as people, isn't it? And that's how they speak. And there's a problem I think today in like today's culture where we're scared to like say these words and that and make these characters dark like who they are, like they're talking with vitriol against and racial hatred and that. And we're scared to say it because we're scared to depict these characters like that because we're scared of like getting cancelled for saying stuff like that. Where it's like I don't know, it's like you see they're making that American Psycho remake, aren't they? And you can guarantee it's going to be like I don't know, it's just going to be like a TikTok version of American Psycho, where like a really safe, like clean cut version of it, whereas like the original was just so like raunchy and disturbed and depraved, and like everything just seems to have like a layer of like cleanliness to it nowadays, but it's just so shallow, isn't it? Like
I didn't even know that was gonna happen. That sounds fucking horrible. How
Yeah,
you
no.
can't remake that movie. That movie, I mean, they're gonna try, but it's there's no way. I guarantee you it won't be above a 5.5 on IMDb.
Oh, there's no way. There's no way in hell that in this current timeline, an American Psycho remake in 2024 is going to be like
Maybe
a
if you got the
cultural
same,
phenomenon.
maybe if you got the same director and Christian Bale, like they return or something, but that's about it. Like that's the only
Yeah,
way
if
it
it was
might be
just
able to be good.
yeah, the only way you could make a follow up to it or something to do with it is if you did it in a really clever. In a really clever sense, so try and relate it to like the late stage capitalist world that we live in now. But I just guarantee it's just going to be like I don't know, just Gen Z TikTok culture sort of stuff meets American Psycho and like this Netflix like diversity stuff where it's like. And I know talking about this is really controversial because it's really got to be really careful with how you say it because the last thing I would want people to think is that, oh, Vivek hates diversity or something. It's like, no, I'm all for diversity. It's awesome. Like, the best, I love watching, I love watching any, like, film from any era, even today, where it's like, oh, diversity is done in, like, a really clever, nuanced way, not just forced, where it's like, oh, we'll just change it and do all this stuff to, like, appeal to it's sort of like it's like offensive. If I was, I don't know, a minority, and I hate even using that word because it seems like quite outdated. But if I was like, yeah, in an ostracized group, and I saw Disney was making some new remake of like their old IPs to manipulate me into watching it, I'd be like, this isn't diversity. This is just like marketing gimmicks, isn't it?
Yeah, that's all Disney is. Like that's I hate them for that. They just fucking do like they just don't try at anything to create like they're woke because they're fucking they do it the wrong way and like they want people to be accepted. They want to be accepted by people, so they just make it they don't know what the hell they're doing, and it's so bad. It's really disappointing, and they should know.
Yeah.
They got all this fucking money, and I mean, they got to have some kind of smart people working for them. I don't know why it's so difficult for them to do that.
Mm. Yeah, yeah. It's just the thing is, you watch any of these like Disney. Disney's the main one, isn't it? And like, I just
Yeah.
hate. This is one thing I really agree with like YMS now. Like, I hate Star Wars. Like,
Me
I
too.
just can't. It's actually ruined my. It's actually ruined it for me. Like, I still love like the original and even the prequels because they got a bit of soul to them. They're funny. They're good, entertaining romps. But even now, just like my appreciation and reverence for that series as a whole is just dead. Like, anytime there's a new Star Wars thing, everyone's like, "No, bro, you've got to watch Star Wars: The Acolyte or whatever, like the new one. No, it's actually good." Or Star Wars Andor, and I'm like, "Yeah, I'm sure it's good and it's better than all these other ones." But like, the whole IP is just, it's just been done to death now. Like, I'm sick of it.
Star Wars, Marvel, like, and they own all that shit, and it's so
Yeah.
bad. I think they're making another Avengers too. Like, what the hell?
No, it's like that's one thing that's funny about Marvel, isn't it? Like, ever since Avengers Endgame came out, they've just been trying to recapture the success with like all these like spin-off films and standalone films and that. And the cultural zeitgeist of Marvel is like really fading now, but they're still clinging to it. And that's their ace in the hole. It's like Avengers Endgame 2 or whatever like that. And they'll do it, won't they? Because they love money.
Now, I enjoyed Infinity War and Endgame. I actually thought they were very entertaining movies. Like, I didn't think they were good per se, but I thought they were
Yeah,
really
that's fun.
entertaining because it was just like the spectacle of seeing all those superheroes on screen and just like going opening night. Like, I thought that was really interesting. But once you killed Iron Man, spoiler alert, fucking for that movie, which everyone should know by now. Everyone's probably seen it, but like.
Yeah, yeah.
You can't go on with it with no one wants to see fucking Black Widow. No one wants to see a fucking who
Madame Web.
right. No one wants to see that shit. Like, I don't know why they even think that the whole appeal they had to begin with was the original with the Iron Man, Hulk, Captain America, like all those people. Now it ended after that, and then Hulk. I hate what they did with Hulk when they made him like a very nice
Oh
guy.
yeah.
And like, why would you? I could not stand that shit. I like Thanos
That
as a character. I
really
thought he was
annoyed
good,
me.
but
He was probably my fate. Like, I've never been into like Marvel big time, but when I was younger, obviously when I grew up in the 2000s as a child, I did watch all of them superhero films coming out at the time. Quite like the Hulk films and the X-Men films, Spider-Man films. They were all really good.
yeah.
And then I'd not watched any Marvel thing for ages. And then my mates, who are a bit more like casual moviegoers, they don't really watch any films I watch, but they'll watch Marvel because it's just something, just some fun, isn't it? It's just some dopamine, isn't it? Really.
Yeah, put it
And then they're
on.
like, "Oh, do you want to come?" Yeah, yeah, just put it on and enjoy it. And I was like, "Yeah, fair." And they're like, "Do you want to come to cinema?" Because they knew I liked films. And they're like, "Right, go on then." I had no idea about Avengers. I've never watched the first one. Never watched Infinity War. Never watched any of them. Age of Ultron. So I went into it, and I literally was in the cinema. I was like, "What the hell have they done to the Hulk?" Like, he's literally it's like that was the one thing I remember saying to my mate. I was like, "Oh, I can't wait to." I was like, "Oh, I might actually quite enjoy this. Like, quite like the Hulk. Quite like Spider-Man." I was like, "Oh wait, this like new wave of Marvel interpretation of these characters is just like asinine." I really don't like Tom Holland as Spider-Man.
Neither do
Like,
I. I
just
think he's
cannot.
horrible.
I don't. Yeah, he just like I hate it. It's so overused, but like it's cringe. Like, it makes me cringe. I cannot get into it.
I'm sure
The
he's a nice
quippy
guy and
dialogue.
everything, but like I can't. Like, he's
I've
just
never
not.
seen him in a good film. I've never seen him in a good film. He was in Uncharted. That was terrible.
I never
He just
seen it.
doesn't seem like a very good actor. Like,
No.
he's just a good. He's just a poster. He's just a poster boy, isn't he? Really.
Yeah.
And I get it.
And he gets to date Zendaya, which is, I mean, he's lucky for that. But
It's not fair, man. Let's
no,
cancel him.
yeah, I don't, yeah. I The thing with Marvel movies, like, yes, they're the only thing with them is that they are entertaining, like they're entertaining to watch, but like that's it. There's nothing deep about them. I remember when Black Panther had all this hype about it, and I was like, okay, this might be interesting. Everyone's saying it's a good movie. I watched it. It's just like another Marvel movie, but the soundtrack I really liked. I like Kendrick Lamar's soundtrack for it, but
Yes.
everything else was just, I mean, it was just like a
You know
normal
what?
Marvel movie. I hated it.
Yeah, like Black Panther got nominated for Best Picture at the Oscars.
I
and
couldn't
know
believe
oftentimes
that.
they do.
I could not believe that. I
But
was like, what the
you know why
fuck?
it is though. You know why. You know why it is. It's because it has the angle. Like, yeah,
Right.
it's like it's got an angle of like a celebration of black culture, which like it is. It definitely is for like superheroes in a sense, but it's not a nuanced artistic film. It's just like I get it. Like I understand like the rhetoric around it. Like, oh, it's sort of political in a sense because it's like breaking barriers and it's like a big new step for like black cinema. And I was like, there's so much better stuff out there. Like
Right.
being
Even
produced.
the guy, the Ryan Coogler who directed it, he directed Fruitvale Station, which I thought that movie made me cry. That movie made me bawl my eyes. I don't know if you ever seen it
Oh
before,
yeah,
but that movie
about
was
that.
sad, and that movie was really well made. And like I was just thinking, like he can make a good movie. I'm sure he just got restricted by what Marvel and Disney had to have him do. It's just like the fact that it was just an all, trying to say this stuff without being canceled. Like just tomorrow we'll see like, oh, Vivek and Tales from the Trip are fucking huge racists or something, or something like that.
This is what is really disturbing about like that, because I do like to talk about it, but like the problem is people are so emotionally reactive about this stuff. It's like I'm scared to talk about it because it's so easy for people to misconstrue and even like take things you say and use it against you. And like the problem is that was everyone's so scared to say it that there's no dialogue happening, and it means that it's getting worse. Like that's why culture's stagnating, because everyone's afraid to talk about like. And again, like I'll use like the word like wokeism right now, and like someone will be like, oh, Vivek is anti-woke, it means he's racist or whatever. It's like, no, I want art to be deep. Like when
Right.
something gets deep, you know that film Get Out. That is a
Yeah.
brilliant example of a clever film that
Right.
is
Right.
like helmed by a black person, that is about literal societal issues regarding race and presented in an artistic manner. That is art. And then you've got Black Panther, which, yes, I know there's artistic elements to Black Panther. I know it's a labour of love in many areas, the visual effects, but it's not really saying anything in a
No.
nuanced way, is it?
It's
It's
literally
just
the same
a
as a
drug.
regular Marvel movie. That's all. There's a problem. The hero has to solve it. The hero wins, and there you go. That's all. That's literally all it is. And I like with movies like that
We
are
can do so
actually
much
good.
better than that.
Right. The fucking Moonlight. That's
Yeah,
it's all black cast, and it's gay too. So like
yeah.
that worked really well. That was one of my favorite movies of that year that came out. I really enjoyed that movie. My mom is actually a pretty homophobic and racist person, but I brought her to the movie.
Mhm.
She was like, ugh. She was like that the whole time. But
Well,
when I
isn't
was
that the power of film though, isn't it? It's like that's a great example, the Moonlight and say Get Out and stuff, and like your casual watcher might be like, oh, it's one of them films about them like black people and
right,
gays or whatever.
like a fucking southerner who only eats barbecue ribs all day is not gonna fucking watch that movie and be like, oh, this is great. Like
Mm.
they're not gonna be like that. But a person who can appreciate film, who can appreciate diversity, wokeism, is gonna like Moonlight. Like Moonlight was definitely like that's a
Healthy woke.
movie.
It's a healthy woke in it versus like unconscious woke. Like Black Panther is like unconscious, like shallow wokeism, and then like healthy wokeism where people like Get Out and Moonlight and so many other films that I can't even think off the top of my head because there's so many of them. Um, they are really pushing the medium forward for like racial themes in films and political themes that are great to talk about and also make for great stories and great ideas. But then you've got like why another film that is that Green Book film where I've not actually seen it, but I know
I
YMS
saw it.
I know he often derides it as being like quite on the nose, like when the black person meets the white person and they solve all their issues together. It's like, that's the vibe I got from it about watching it, and I was like, oh, that's Oscar bait that, and it's like, oh, let's
Right, and
force
it,
it to be more.
and it won
political than
Best
it is.
Picture, I think, too.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't a bad movie or anything. I thought it was good, but it wasn't like anything special. But you know who that movie is
Mhm.
about? The guy, what's his name? Viggo Mortensen. You know who he plays? You know which character that is in real
Oh,
life?
he, he, Viggo Mortensen, he was in Lord of the Rings, wasn't he? He plays Aragorn.
Yeah, yeah,
But no, I
yeah.
don't know about the real life thing.
He's playing Carmine Lupertasi, his real life persona. Like he was Tony Lip, that's his
Oh,
name.
right.
He was actually that character that he played in that movie. So that was his true
Oh,
life
that's
story.
interesting.
Yeah, so that was actually really interesting to me.
It didn't seem like a Best Picture winner of that year, like compared to all the other films that were
Oh God,
nominated
no.
as well, like that pushed boundaries.
Like it
Um,
was
um,
good, but it wasn't anything special.
I think the one that really I do get, this is one thing that I will admit, I don't get wound up, but letterboxed reviews wind me up sometimes because
Oh
there is a
yes.
lot of very, very, very silly. I mean, there's very, very silly, foolish, unconscious conservatives and right wingers, but there's just like a it's just this like hubris from the sort of like the I hate to say it, but like libtards on Letterboxd who are like, this film is problematic. Like, you know, that Poor Things film that came out. Like, so many people are trying to say it's like anti-feminist and it's anti-women and that. I was like, how the hell can you watch that film? That beautifully like intricate film that has so many layers and thematic depth to it, and it is so pro-women. It's like, how can you watch that and think it's anti-feminist and it's through the male gaze? It's like, are you crazy? It's showing you how women get manipulated and abused by men in a male-dominated world, and it depicts it in a really like quite disturbed way because we live in a disturbed world. I think some of these people don't like to admit that like the world is darker and more
I
or
hate
more
those
muddy
people.
than they.
I really
Yeah,
hate
and
those people.
I'll say it right now. They're libtards, man. Like, that's what it is. Like, it's people who honestly, it's people. I've got a lot of friends like, and I feel sorry for them because they've got like this weird like sort of guilt about being like white or whatever, where it's like, right, I've got to be completely against my own like being. I've got to be against white people. I've got to be against like the current culture and that. I was like, don't get political in a hateful way. Get political in a loving way. Love other races and be pro like other races and pro
Just
other
be
ethnicities
yourself,
because of the
man.
love of them. Yeah, not because you feel guilty about living in a middle class like suburb. And it's like, my God, everyone's just it's just weird, isn't it? Just can't wrap my head around it because I just think it's just such a waste of energy.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that. Like, people are just embarrassed to be themselves sometimes. It's like you can't
Mm.
control who you are. At least all you really got to do is just be a good person and be empathetic. That's really all you have to do, and then you can probably live your life pretty happily. Although if you're too empathetic, then it might be a problem because you're just be too sad because you're thinking of other people in other situations. But um, yeah,
Yeah, if you're too much of a like there's obviously this empath zeitgeist at the minute, and like I think it's great to have empathy. Like, it's good. That's a beautiful thing. But if you have too much of it, you then lose yourself, don't you? You then lose the love for yourself. Like, you've got to have the balance of like loving other people, but also don't forget that you also need to love yourself because you are you, aren't you?
hmm
And I think some people try to live through other people. I've got yeah. Some people I know are like, oh, I'm gonna go to Palestine and I'm gonna save everybody. And I
oh
was like,
God,
no, don't go. You're gonna get your head chopped off or worse.
right.
Just like try to do the best. In fact, again, this is I'd say me and you have a bit like we are political in a sense, but we don't get sucked into it. Like, I would say I'm definitely gravitate towards progressivism more, and I vote progressively in the UK. Like, I won't vote conservative, I won't vote right wing, but I wouldn't say I'm a leftist because I see the trappings of being too liberal. Because yeah, this is a great Jordan Peterson quote. Someone who I don't fully. This again. This is you got to keep like making an addendum where, because I'll say, oh, Jordan Peterson said this good thing, and someone's like, oh, Vivek's a right winger. He's probably alt right. It's like, no, he makes good statements in certain ways. Like, he made a great statement about, all right, if you want to sort the world out, you need to sort your own room out first, don't you? Like, don't take on the challenges of the world if you can't even take the challenge of like tying your own shoelaces. And a lot of liberals want to save the world when they don't even know how to save themselves, and I think that's something they need to take into account.
Yeah, I just that's why I'm a centrist. I can't follow both parties because they're both fucking retarded to me. Or can I say that fucking word? I don't know. I really don't even care because I got a
We're
one
bringing it
time.
back.
Yeah, one time I read a story and I said it in the story. I haven't said it since, but I got a comment. But like, I really don't care about that word as much as other things that are definitely you can't say. But
I think people just get too emotional about it. Like, I mean, what I get, I'll keep going back to YMS. This is why I've always loved Your Movie Sucks, because he very much operates on the same frequency as I do, and how I see the world
yeah,
and
me too.
people and ideology and that. But yeah, very, sort of just like looking at it from above, sort of like transcending it. And not getting sucked in. And he made a good point about like autistic is the new retard, isn't it? That's the like back in the day in 2000, like, oh, he's retarded, this is retarded. And it's like now today it's like, oh, he's autistic, that's autistic. Then in 10 years they'll be like, oh, we shouldn't have said autistic anymore, and it'll be a new word, and it'll just keep going on. And like, why don't we get invested in more meaningful things and what's the right word to say? I think some words like the N word and that, like we shouldn't. That was a dark time, like on YouTube, and there's literal videos from me in the past saying this online, but like I won't go and delete them because I have the consciousness to realize this was in the past. Leave it in the past and look at it as being an example of like, right, we've moved on from it. Don't try and delete it and cancel it and do all this. But it's like learn from it and realize, oh, that was an immature point in the internet, wasn't it, when we used the N word all the time, and now we've moved on from it.
PewDiePie, I mean, he fucking said it that one time, and it's like nothing even.
Yeah, and then people like Jews and stuff like, oh, you're such a fucking Jew, like shooting someone in a game or whatever. It's like, yeah, we all said it. We all said it back in the day. I did it. All my mates did. In fact, a lot of people still do say it today, but in like the privacy. But don't go saying it online because we've matured from that, haven't we? We've moved on from it. But yeah, this is just the complexity of language, isn't it? Because I do push the boundary in my Discord server sometimes. I think I don't want to come off as like I'm not insensitive at all. I'm very sensitive, but like sometimes I just think people just do get a bit lost in this. Oh, you've said the R word, the retard word. No, that means you've got something against like people with disabilities or something. It's like, no, when I use that word, I'll call my mate like
right.
It's just like calling my mate dumb. It's just a funnier sounding word for me. There's no baggage with it. If there's baggage, you're the one projecting it onto me. And I'd say that's your problem, not mine.
Right, and so if these people are thinking that it's offensive, that means they're thinking that when you say it, you're offending actual mentally challenged people. So they're the people who actually bring it up are the ones who are actually thinking about how it's offensive, when in reality you're just saying the damn word, and it's not. It's nothing. You're just saying it because it's a hard. It sounds like a hard word, like a word that would be like meaningful.
Yeah. It's the funniest words, like some of the funniest shows, like when they do have a bit of like edgy humor and they use these like really strong words, but it's not in an offensive way towards the importance of context, isn't it? Like I just don't like it when people this is another thing that annoyed me. Sometimes I'd get people on my Instagram, I'd be talking to them, and I'll talk to anyone. I'm just like try to be as sound as possible with everyone, because I mean 99% of people who talk to me are absolutely class. But then sometimes I get a bit too deep into the parasocial relationships, and they think we're like friends, and then I like me who they are. I don't know what they look like or anything, and I just said, "Cheers, man," because I'm not gonna lie to you, mate. Like when they sent me a picture, they look like a guy. How am I supposed to know what you identify as? I don't know who you are. And then the person, like I've had a few people who like really kick off on me like, oh, I know you're not that sort of person to be insensitive towards trans people, but I feel like you've offended me in a way here because we've got this relationship going on. I was like, no, I don't know who you are. Like, I don't know who you are. Like, if you look like a guy and sound like a guy, I'm probably gonna call you. And I just said like, I didn't even say anything to that. I didn't even misgender him. Like, I just said, "Oh, cheers, man." I'd call my girl mate.
Right, like that's just what or you say, bro. You're like, that's just what you say. Yeah, it's not like dude. It's not meant to say it to anyone specifically. Like, that's awesome. I even say, personally. I say yes, sir, to like everything. Like when someone says something and it's like, and I'm saying it, but like luckily no one's ever said anything back to me about it. But like when I just say yes, sir, I'm just saying that as like a command, like yes, sir.
Yeah. If I see like my girl mates out and about, I'm like, yes, lad, what we saying? Like, because it's just sort of like that dude bro, like having a laugh thing, and I have that with people. That's how I interact normally. So I interact with someone on Instagram like that, and then they turn around and say, oh, I'm not actually a man, and you should have known that. I was like, mate, I don't know who you are. Like, and if anything, like, why are you getting so? It's hard to talk about these things without people misconstruing it, but I think we've put it across very, consciously here because it's something I've wanted to talk about for a while because I think it's something that people are too scared to say because they're scared of getting cancelled. I'm not because I know that I've not done anything wrong or said anything wrong.
We're
And if
already
people want to
fucking
spin it,
talking about drugs every day, so like that's already a
Yeah,
risk
yeah.
of.
yeah,
I think
we
most
are we
people
are
believe
really
this
pushing the boundaries.
anyway. Most people are
Yeah,
like this. Like I can't. I don't know. I've met a lot more people who say retard than people who get offended by it. Like there's like way more people who
yeah.
actually just still. So like I hear a bunch of people still say it. Like it just comes out. You know, it just fucking comes out, and you
Mm.
can't control it. And yeah, so someone says speak your truth. Yeah, we're speaking the truth right now. It's the truth is coming out. This is the content you paid for. You're not paying for it, but
Yeah.
you're paying for it.
You're paying for it with your soul.
Yeah, give me your soul,
Um,
you retard.
Give me it now, retard. But it's silly when this is actually having a laugh of it because the context we're using of it is quite nuanced and yeah, thinking outside the box. But it does. Some people are so dense that they'll be like, "Oh, Vivekan tells from the trip of the sort of people that go up to someone in a wheelchair and
Oh my God.
give them shit for having disabilities." It's like, why would I do that? Because I'm not a monster. Like,
Right.
would never do that. But they think, I think a problem in culture, and the reason we're so divided right now is like we demonize each other. We've always demonized. The left demonizes the right, and the opposite tribe demonizes the
Yeah,
other tribe.
back
But
and
right
forth.
now it's but right now it's like it's reached an apex point where it's like you can you can be the most innocent person and someone will try and spin it against you because they want to see the evil in you. Like it's really quite
Just go
when they
on
should be
Twitter.
recognizing the evil in themselves. Like you should be recognizing the devil in yourself, not in the other person. Because at the end of the day, you're the one propagating
Right,
a
they're
lot
the
of the
ones who
shit.
are realizing it's something that you didn't even mean. Like you're that's why I always had a problem with it because they're the ones who are seeing it when you didn't actually think that, but like the people who are
Mm.
telling you like you said that's not very nice to say. It's like, well, you realize that I wasn't even going for that, but you're the one who realizes, so you're the one who's actually the one who's fucking an evil person, not me.
Yeah. Um, I have a bit because obviously I don't get involved in debates in real life and try not to get involved in them on Instagram and Discord. Sometimes I fall into it, but then I usually just try to have a laugh about it. But sometimes in real life, I notice like some of my mates, a lot of my male mates can argue with my girl mates because I remember this one. They were arguing about. One of my mates is a bit. He's not misogynistic at all, but people keep painting him as it because he like I don't know he likes a bit of Andrew Tate or whatever. He
Ugh.
maybe has a bit more strong feeling. Yeah, maybe. But it's like I don't agree with it either, and I don't think he's a positive person to look up to. But thing is, my mate doesn't actually look up to him. He just might like quote him once or twice. But then some people like to paint him as being completely misogynistic just because he might take something of slight value from him. It doesn't just mean he's like completely on board. He's like an Andrew Tate follower, and they were like, oh, how can you be mates with someone who likes this person or that person or has these like ideological beliefs? And I just think like, well, I'm just mates with someone. If someone's nice to me and they're not going about like the line I draw is like I think you can believe anything you want as long as you're not going out literally like murdering people over it. I think you can say whatever you want in the privacy of your own home or with your mates out in the pub or whatever. And whether it's like really raunchy and edgy and maybe not politically correct, I think you should be able to say it and there's nothing wrong with it as long as you aren't going out literally like battering down people's houses and getting like, oh, get these bloody
Right.
different like that's when I'm like, oh, I will not be friends with you. Like you're clearly like tapped. But a lot of my mates are a bit like casually racist and like I live in like a really very small like closed-minded like, place. Of course, there's going to be some racist people there. I can't judge them for being limited. Like, not everyone's lucky enough to live in like a big city and have the luxury of being like a white liberal and all that. Like,
Yeah, no, it's a world to live in nowadays. That's all I'm gonna say about that.
Mm.
It's something, man. You got to be careful, or you don't got to be careful at all. You got to pick and choose what you want to do. You can't be both.
yeah, you do. You do have to be cautious, but you've also
You got to be a little
you've
cautious
also
about what you say, but
you've got to be cautious, but you've also got to push the envelope and be like, right, this needs to be talked about because if it doesn't get talked about, it's only going to get more toxic. And there needs to be a bit of a counterbalance going on, but not in a demonization way. It's just like we need to talk about this sort of stuff intelligently and realize that we need to have a bit more consciousness about how we
Mm-hmm.
talk about these matters, because otherwise we're just going to keep spiraling down
The
the
asshole.
rabbit hole. Yeah, yes. Into my asshole.
um.
Mm. So,
All right. Should we?
yeah, it's been
You think
good.
that's good?
If has anyone got any quick
Yeah.
questions
If there's
about?
any quick questions, I mean, we didn't talk about drugs at all today,
No.
which I'm happy about actually. The nice
Yeah,
discussion.
yeah. It was good to obviously just get us two on a chat and just talk a bit more like personal level, and then because I know a lot of people just want us to talk about like the content. Like a lot of people will just be like tuning in because like,
Right.
oh, I just wanted to talk about drugs. But it's good. It's good to have a little bit of a buffer because next time we'll maybe just hammer it home. We'll talk exclusively about that. But it's good to have
Right.
the
I'm actually I.
variety.
A funny thing is I emailed Pastel Ghost. I'm gonna see if she responds or not. That would be really
Oh
cool if
my
she was
god.
on there. But I actually talked to I mean Play a Funk. He's in our Discord and stuff. He was interested in
Yeah, I'd
coming
love to
on
get
too,
on.
so he can be a future guest. We can interview him because he's definitely been influenced by drugs and stuff to make music. So yeah, I feel like that would be a
Yeah,
good one. Someone said I appreciate this
there's
episode a lot. Was refreshing. Hell yeah, it was very refreshing.
oh, awesome. Big ups. We love to see it.
All right.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, there's a lot potentially big creators we could get on here because I just think I've reached out to some of them and just email them or whatever and like they might not see it but they might do and I think a lot of them would love to come on. In fact, there's this YouTuber joined my Discord the other day. Oh, Doorball. You might be listening to it. He's been making a lot of sort of. He made this video called "The Craziest Drugs to Exist" and it's just gone semi-viral.
Oh, really? Okay.
And he loves our content. And he'd love to come on. So
Oh,
that
okay.
was really cool. Yeah, it's
Endless
might
possibilities.
be
We
in it,
don't
might.
always have to do it on Sunday too, because we did it tonight. Like since I
Oh
have my
yeah.
day off the next day, I don't mind doing podcasts at night. But like if I work the next
This
day,
was the
then yeah.
biggest plot twist ever having it on a
Oh
Tuesday.
no, it's gonna. It's
Not jam
cool
on.
that we actually set out to do this, and we're actually on the sixth episode. That might not seem like a lot, but 6 episodes in, that's not bad for starting
We've
off.
only started it like a few months ago.
Yeah, like two,
Yeah.
maybe, not even two, maybe exactly two. I'd say, yeah.
We've been talking about it for ages, and it obviously, like, we were scrambling for the name. We were like, what's the name? What should we do? And then it was just like, oh, we already had the name to
Right.
begin with, didn't we? It was just, yeah, it was always meant to be.
Are both of your channels monetized currently? Yes, mine is, but now mine's back to getting
Yeah,
fucking
mate.
limited monetization. I'm getting pissed off. It was all
Yeah, I saw that.
green up until a couple like a week ago. Now it's like everything has to get requested for review and it doesn't even get accepted. And then the video upload on my second channel that was doing so well. It was a 1 out of 10. Got age restricted. I was so pissed. I had top 6 harmful drugs for teens. And it's inappropriate for people. Like, are you fucking kidding me? I told people what the most dangerous drugs are for people to take, and they see it as inappropriate. Like, what are you fucking kidding me, YouTube? Like, seriously, it pisses me off when that shit happens.
There's no consistency to the monetization at
There's
all.
not at all.
Like I'll make a video, like one of my, yeah, one of my ones that most recently had limited ads. How to responsibly use psychedelics. Most advertiser-friendly video I think I've ever made. With just me talking in a garden, and they were like, "No, I don't think we're gonna be able to put ads on that, Vivek."
Yeah, no, but we'll accept the most scariest salvia trip report of all time. That'll be accepted
Oh,
for sure.
I'm more than happy. Yeah, the more than happy with that.
Like all my
I mean, all of it can get monetized anyway, but like it's just weird how they pick and choose.
Right. All my huffing gasoline videos are fully monetized, which is hilarious to me. And then you'll see one that's for like a weed one. Like, everyone smokes weed at this point. Like, are you kidding me? Like, it pisses me off, dude. It really does.
Yeah,
But
my cannabis ones. If I put cannabis or weed or anything in the title to do with marijuana, it immediately it never passes the review check at all because advertisers apparently really don't like that, even though it's the most like um, liberal drug in a sense, isn't it?
right.
Everyone's so liberally minded about cannabis, but then you make one about. I make one about Datura or like DPH, and everyone's like, "Yep, that's the advertiser bot." Is like, that's completely fine. Absolutely fine.
Or we'll make a video why Black Panther's the greatest movie of all time, and that will get monetized for sure.
Oh, that'll be our magnum opus, that video.
It'll be featured on everyone's YouTube. When you first make a YouTube account, it'll be up there with Sniper Wolf and Mr. Beast.
It'll be like one of them 8-hour long analysis videos that do really well. And it's like we're going through every single like frame, proper scrutinizing it.
Who is this person?
We've got a tick. Oh, I like the tick.
Yeah. It's usually bots, I reckon. Yeah, that's it. It is. It's mostly AI. That's why my channel got terminated, because it was AI. I think it was around the time they added that feature in it where it said, "Is this your content or is it AI?" And I feel like that's the reason. Like they said it was for the drugs and shit, but I think that had a lot to do with it for the termination. But yeah.
Oh yeah, I don't believe any human has ever reviewed my YouTube.
Not at all.
Limited
No.
ad requests.
No.
They just say it because they can't. I mean, you can't say, "Oh yeah, we don't actually have any humans doing it," because everyone get up in arms. But it's so obvious.
Right.
Apparently, the bot even just like it just literally checks like the first 30 seconds to a minute, doesn't it? It doesn't actually like review the whole thing either. It's just.
Which is crazy because I don't even say anything in my first 30 fucking seconds. I don't even start talking until 40, 47, 46 seconds in.
I am. Sometimes what's funny about like monetization is I'll have this video, I'll upload it, and it'll be fully green and everything. I'm like, oh yes, I'm in the clear now. And then I'll go back and like I'll edit the description about, oh, I didn't put this link into the report, or I misnamed something, and then I'll retitle it, rename something in the description, and then limited ads. And I've got to request a review, and I'm like, oh, for God's sake, I should have just left it in its messy state.
Right. That's what always used to happen to me before, but now it really, like, honestly, since I just have my job at the post office, I really don't even fucking care if it's like fully monetized or not. Like I can live with that as long as I'm getting like a good amount every month, like so it's just because that's like my overtime money. It's every video does not need to be fully monetized for me, but it is very nice to have. Like when I got remonetized again, like probably about 10 videos were fully monetized no matter what, and it was a nice feeling to have that happen. But yeah, like recently it's just been the complete opposite, where it just goes up no matter what. It's a yellow, so
You just got to bite the bullet and be like, right, whatever it is,
oh well,
that's what it is. And then sometimes I'll have a month when like I've had absolutely no limited ads or anything. So hopefully next month that's the one. But yeah, right now it's just luck of the draw, isn't it? So
yeah,
best not to get emotional about it. It is what it is.
you're right. All right, that was a great episode. Episode 6. We'll be back with episode 7 in probably 2 Sundays from now, right? Because you're busy this upcoming Sunday.
Yeah. Next Sunday would be ideal for me. Hopefully probably get someone else next time. See who's on the cards.
We just needed to get ourselves again for once, and then go back to getting people in, because it's nice having guests. Yeah. All right. Well, I hope you guys have a wonderful night, and this was a lot of fun, and we'll be back next time. Don't you guys worry. Have